Good morning. Reading from Matthew 21, verses 12 through 17. And Jesus entered the temple and drove out all who sold and bought in the temple, and he overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold pigeons. He said to them, "It is written, my house shall be called a house of prayer, but you make it a den of robbers." And the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. But when the chief priests and the scribes saw the wonderful things that he did, and the children crying out in the temple, "Hosanna to the Son of David," they were indignant. And they said to him, "Do you hear what these are saying?" And he said to them, "Yes, have you never read, out of the mouths of infants and nursing babies you have prepared praise?" And leaving them, he went to the city, out of the city, to Bethany, and lodged there. Pondering here, we have a situation currently in which all of the temples have been closed, and anybody who would pretend to be a preacher but really is a money changer, the table has been overturned. I wonder if the Lord is attempting to transform us back into being a house of prayer, a real concerted seeking after Him. Seeking not just after His hand or His face, but His heart. I wonder if the Lord is desiring to transform us from being robbers, as James talks about, to those who build something out with our hands, so that they have some to give to those who are in need. Let me pull up this passage here. Ephesians 4:28. Not James, it's Ephesians. Okay, and here it says, he talks about dens of robbers, so people who steal, basically. So Ephesians 4:28 says, "Let the thief steal no longer, but rather let him labor, doing honest work with his own hands, so that he may have something to share with anyone who is in need." I think Paul is echoing what Jesus is talking about here, what the Lord is trying to transform. It's not just the house, it's not just the buildings, but He's trying to transform the hearts of the people, so that those who are thieves are no longer thieves, but rather they're out working, and they can give as a result of doing the labor with their hands that they used to take before they were transformed. He's talking about His house. Where's His temple? His temple with the Holy Spirit. The temple is inside of us. So who's He trying to transform? Not just the building, He's trying to transform us. I think He's trying to transform us so that we do not steal any longer. I think He is trying to keep us in place and move us not just from the place of wickedness to where we no longer steal. I think He's trying to make us productive now. I think He's trying to take the work of our hands and make it so very useful and productive. I think He desires to make us into people who are the antithesis of thieves. I think He wants us to become those who intercede, and those who lead, and those who build and fight properly. I don't think He's talking about merely, okay, we're just going to stop stealing, because that's not what it's about. My house of prayer should be a house of prayer for all nations. You have made it a den of robbers, or a den of thieves, as some translations say. And our responsibility is not merely to just stop stealing. Our responsibility is to build and to give out. And here's the illustration of that. Matthew 21:14. "And the blind and the lame came to Him in the temple, and He healed them." So Jesus is in the temple, not just preaching against stealing, preaching against theft, but He's doing the exact opposite of theft. He's giving out. He's giving the gift of healing to somebody. Whether it's a lame, whether it's a virus, whether it's blindness or deafness, whether it's dumbness or deadness. He brings healing, he brings deliverance, and he gives the gift of sight, the gift of hearing, the gift of a whole bodily health. Psychological health, probably in some cases. Maybe even spiritual health. To those who are disintegrated, he brings some integration to some parts, makes them whole in their soul, makes them whole in their spirit. You know, I think it is telling. Verse 13, you make it a den of robbers. He does the exact opposite of robbery. He does gift giving and generosity in the extreme to many people who came into the temple, the blind and the lame. So, he restored all sorts of eyesights. Now, gang, I think it will help us if we remember Jesus is not merely in the business of telling us to stop robbing. Jesus is in the business of telling us to go and be productive and to demonstrate productivity by delivering us from circumstances that would make us unproductive. Because now these blind and lame people in Matthew 21, they're now accountable to get work. Now that they are completely whole and capable of working, they can see where to go to get their work, and they can use their hands and their feet to harvest the grain or to manage finances, to become an accountant, whatever the case, a builder, getting construction like Jesus was in. Maybe Jesus had some connections with some people in Jerusalem and Bethlehem when it came to construction because they knew who he was and his parents. I don't know. I just want to help us think a little bit outside of the box so that we're not just concerned with the same old thing, but rather we consider maybe the Lord wants to bring wholeness to us. I bless you with understanding this, and I bless you with purpose, and I bless you to move not just from a place where you're stealing to where you're not stealing, but from the place where you're stealing to the place where you're actually giving instead. Coming in the opposite spirit. I bless you with the capacity to come in the opposite spirit in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen.